Balance is not a straight line. If you were hooked up to a heart rate machine right now and the reading on the screen was completely flat, that would not be a sign that you were in perfect equilibrium. It would be a sign that something had gone very wrong. A living heart goes up and down. That oscillation is what a healthy heart looks like on the screen. The flat line is what death looks like, which means the version of balance most of us are chasing, that neat 50-50 split between work and life, the equal distribution of energy across every domain, the tidy, symmetrical week where nothing gets too intense or too flat, is not just difficult to achieve, it's the wrong target. It was never what balance actually was, and chasing it is one of the reasons so many founders end up feeling like they're failing at something they were never meant to be doing in the first place. This video is about what balance actually is and why understanding that changes the whole conversation about how you're supposed to run your life alongside your business. Welcome to the Lead World channel, where we explore the inner world of leadership, well-being, and what it means to build a business and a life that doesn't break you. My name's Trevor. I run a multi-award winning restaurant and cocktail bar, but I didn't come from a hospitality background. I built the business from the ground up, learning as I went, figuring it out in real time. This is a video about balance, but it isn't a video about how to acquire it. It's a video about what it actually is, because I think the confusion at the center of most balance advice is a definitional one. And once you fix the definition, the whole conversation changes. Most people talking about balance means something like an equal split. 50% to the business and 50% to the family. A neat, symmetrical week. A day off that lands on the same day every week and never gets touched. A phone that goes on silent at 7 every evening and stays there. The image of balance in most people's head is a scale with two identical weights on either side. Everything level, everything symmetrical, everything predictable. That image isn't entirely wrong, it just isn't remotely what balance means in practice, especially not for a founder. Because if the target is a neat, symmetrical split, then every difficult week is a failure. Every stretch of long hours is evidence that something has gone wrong, and every emotionally intense period is proof that you've lost control of your life. Every good week that ran a bit late is a warning sign. Every bad week that's dragged is a red flag. And what happens when a founder holds themselves to that standard is a constant low-level feeling of inadequacy, because their actual week is almost never that clean, nor should it be. The nature of running a hospitality business, or any business that you actually care about, is that it comes in waves. Some weeks the business needs more of you than others. Some weeks you have more to give than others. Trying to force those into a 50-50 split every 7 days is like trying to make a heartbeat at exactly 100 beats per minute, regardless of what's happening around you. You can do it, but you'd have to shut the person down to manage it. So here's the reframe I want to offer, and it's simple enough that it can be described in one image. Balance, real balance, is not the flat line, it's the oscillation. Look at a heart rate machine when it's working properly. The line moves up, then it moves down, then it moves up again, then it moves down. That rise and fall, that repeated movement above and below the center, is what a healthy heart looks like on a screen. The pattern of movement is the health, not the absence of movement. Balance in a life is the same. It's not the absence of highs and lows, it's the presence of both, in a rhythm that returns to a stable center. A living balance has movement in it. It has energy, it has range, it expands and contracts, it rises and falls, and it does all of that around a central line that holds even when the readings above and below are more extreme than usual. This matters for founders specifically because the range of a founder's oscillation is bigger than most people's. Your highs are higher and your lows are lower. Your best days feel disproportionately good. Your worst days feel disproportionately bad. That is not dysfunction. That is the nature of building something that you care about. Your emotional life and your professional life are more entangled than they are for someone in a 9-to-5. So the readings on either side of center are more extreme. The standard advice for work-life balance was not designed for you. It was designed for someone whose life is more separable than yours is. Understanding that isn't an excuse to abandon the idea of balance, it's context. And it explains why you keep concluding that you're failing at balance when actually you're just measuring yourself against a target that was never meant to fit your life. Let me spend a moment on the highs, because most conversations about balance skip them entirely and focus on the lows, and that is a mistake. A brilliant week where the business is flying, the team's on fire, the numbers are up, everything is landing. That week can be intoxicating, and the risk with a week like that isn't the good energy itself, it's what you do with it. The temptation when everything is going well is to push, to extend the working hours because things are landing and you don't want to interrupt that flow, to skip the non-negotiables because you feel too energized to need them, to tell yourself that you can rest when it slows down, to stack extra plans on top of an already full week because the momentum feels like it can carry more. And then inevitably it slows down because, well, it always does. And you don't rest when it slows down because now you're worried about the slowdown. And now you have no reserves to draw on because you spent everything during the high. The high wasn't the problem. The failure to return to center after the high was. A healthy relationship with the high days is enjoying them without extending them past their natural life. Letting a good week be a good week and letting the following week be whatever it turns out to be. Not building the whole business around the assumption that the good stretches will continue indefinitely and that the difficult stretches won't happen. Because they will. That's the oscillation. And the founders who understand that don't get thrown by the return to center. They welcome it. Where founders more commonly get lost is in the downs. And this is the reframe that most need saying because it changes the whole emotional experience of a difficult week. Being in a down is not evidence of failing at balance, it's evidence of being alive. Every founder has bad weeks, weeks where the business is difficult, weeks where a conversation goes badly, weeks where you catch yourself questioning whether you should still be doing this. Weeks where the energy is not there and you're moving through the days on reserves rather than fresh capacity. All of that is normal. All of that is part of the oscillation. All of that is a functioning founder having a functioning bad week. The mistake founders make is treating those weeks as a signal that they failed at something, that they've lost their balance, that they've broken the equilibrium and now they have to fix it before they're allowed to feel okay again. That until the down passes, everything is wrong. But the downs aren't a failure of balance, they're a component of it. What balance actually requires from you in the downs isn't the elimination of the down, it's a strong enough center that you don't get lost in it. A framework that pulls you back to the middle when the down has done what it needs to do and passed. That framework is what this channel has been building for a long time. The morning routine that doesn't move even in a difficult stretch. The non-negotiables that hold whether you feel like it or not. The rhythms in the week that keep operating regardless of what mood you're in. All of that is the center, and the center is what stops a temporary down from becoming a permanently new normal. Before I go any further, I want to mention the Lead Well Sprint. If you're a hospitality founder who is carrying more than most people around you realize, and you know something has to change, this is the entry point of working with me properly. It's 4 weeks, 1 hour a week, focus work with founders who are ready to start rebuilding the foundation underneath everything that they've built. It starts with a free call so that we can talk through what you're carrying and whether the sprint is a right fit for you. If any of this is landing for you, head to the website, the link's in the description. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, let's get back to the video. Let me make this concrete with a specific example because I think this is where the reframe gets useful rather than just interesting. Imagine you have a rhythm to your week. On a normal week, you're not on the floor on Wednesdays. Wednesday is your day for founder work, the desk work, the strategic thinking, the stuff that only you can do. Then one Wednesday, something happens. A team member is sick. A supplier issue needs handling in person. Something forces you onto the floor for that Wednesday. Fair enough, that's the nature of the industry. You cover the shift, you do it well, and Wednesday passes. The question is what happens the following Wednesday? Without a framework, without a clear picture of what your week is supposed to look like, that Wednesday you covered starts to become a Wednesday that you cover regularly. You don't consciously decide it, it just happens. The team gets used to seeing you there, you don't push back because you don't have anywhere in particular to be that day, and within a month or two, you're on the floor every Wednesday because there's no version of the week to return to that says otherwise. With a framework, the following Wednesday is a normal Wednesday again, not on the floor, doing the founder work that you've been planning to do because the framework told you that Wednesday wasn't yours to be on the floor. The shift you covered was a response to a specific situation, not a redefinition of your week. That's what returning to center looks like in practice. Not perfection, not never being flexible, not refusing to step in when the business needs you. It stops the flexibility from quietly becoming the new default. It gives you somewhere to come back to when the extreme has done its work. So here's the fuller version of the reframe because I want to leave you with something that you can actually use rather than just a nice metaphor about heart rates. Balance is not a state, it's a rhythm. It has highs and it has lows. It has weeks where you're mostly in the business and weeks when you're mostly out of it. It has stretches of intensity and stretches of quiet. It has moments where the readings spike and moments where they drop. That's not imbalance, that's what a living balance looks like. What makes it balanced rather than chaos is the center, the rhythm that you return to, the framework that pulls you back to yourself when the extremes have done their work, the non-negotiables that don't move even when everything else is moving. The morning that stays yours even when the day belongs to the business. The people you protect time for even in the weeks when there isn't much time to give. The version of yourself that exists regardless of what the business is doing that week. The founder who understands this stops fighting the oscillation. They stop treating every down as evidence of failure. They stop trying to extend the good weeks indefinitely because they're afraid of what comes next. They let the readings do what readings do, and they trust the center to hold. That's the version of balance that actually works. Not the flat line, the oscillation with a stable middle, and a life that has range and movement and rhythm to it, but always has somewhere to come back to. Balance is not a straight line. If it were, you'd be dead. Balance is a rhythm. It has range, it has movement, it has extreme on both sides. What separates a healthy oscillation from chaos is the center that both return to. The framework, the rhythm, the version of yourself, and the version of the week that hold whether the day was brilliant or difficult. Stop measuring yourself against a flat line that was never designed for your life. Stop concluding that a hard week means you failed at balance. Stop trying to extend the good weeks indefinitely because you're afraid of what comes next. Build the center, trust the return, let the oscillation happen. That's the version of balance that actually lasts. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and a subscribe. It helps me, it helps the channel, and it helps people like us find the content that really matters. And as always, I'd love to remind you that you matter too. Don't forget that.